Four news stories for you. Firstly, Ethiopia has appointed a new ambassador to the US. A few days ago, US appointed a new ambassador to Ethiopia. Now, Ethiopia has appointed Selassie Bakele as ambassador to the US. Secondly, African Union's summit is going to start tomorrow. World leaders, African leaders, are arriving in Ethiopia. Several have arrived in Ethiopia. Hundreds of international journalists have also arrived in Ethiopia to cover this event. Thirdly, viewers, Berhanu Jula, Field Marshal of Ethiopia, has talked about Western Tigray, about Western Front. What is he saying about this front? And lastly, viewers, Pan-African Lawyers Union has released a message for African Union, which is due to meet tomorrow. Tomorrow, Heads of State Summit will be held. In connection with this summit, Pan-African Union of Lawyers, which is an organization, has released a message. We have this video message for you. It's about Tigray, it's about Ethiopia, it's about ongoing conflicts in Africa. Firstly, viewers, Ethiopia has appointed a new ambassador to the US. Name of the person is Engineer Selassie Bakele. He was chief negotiator of the country regarding GERD, Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. He played a key role in GERD negotiation, viewers, and we saw that Ethiopia was under pressure before May last year. Egypt, Sudan were putting pressure upon Ethiopia, trying to stop it from starting the second filling of the dam. We saw statements from the US as well, telling Ethiopia not to start second filling of GERD. Back then, Ethiopia was under pressure. And this man was in the forefront. He played a key role in fighting for Ethiopia for GERD. Ethiopia completed the second filling of GERD last year. Now, his services are being acknowledged, it seems. So that is why he has been appointed as Ethiopian ambassador to the US. Ethiopia also received a new US ambassador last week. Last week, US changed its ambassador and a new ambassador was appointed to Addis Ababa. So both countries have now new ambassadors. We could see start of new era of Ethiopia-US relations, which remained very strained after the start of Tigray conflict in November 2020. Secondly, viewers, Ethiopia is all set to host African Union's summit, 35th session of the Heads of State Summit of African Union to be held tomorrow. All preparations have been completed. Several heads of state have arrived in Ethiopia so far. Today, yesterday, some top African leaders arrived in Addis Ababa. We have seen pictures of a Nigerian president. He has arrived in Ethiopia. Farmajo of Somalia has also landed in Ethiopia. Senegal's president, then Tanzania's president, Malawi's president, and Seychelles' president, they have also arrived in Ethiopia. Several other African leaders have arrived in Ethiopia. And more than 300 international journalists have also arrived in Ethiopia to cover this event. Tomorrow, the session will start. 2-day session, I think. We'll keep you updated from tomorrow about the session of African Union. Will African Union address Tigray conflict? Will it call for a permanent seat for Africa at UN Security Council? What are going to be the priorities of African Union in coming months? That we'll see in two-day session starting from tomorrow. Thirdly, viewers, Berhanu Jula, Field Marshal, head of Ethiopian Army, has been heard talking about Western Front, Western Corridor, Humra, Volkait, Sagade, Western Tigray. What is he saying? He says, till the last drop of blood, Ethiopian army will defend Western Corridor. Now, it's very much clear that no regional force, no federal force is withdrawing from Volkait. We've been hearing rumors. People have been claiming that there could be withdrawal of government forces, ENDF, from Humra Volkait. But see, Berhanu Jula says, till the last drop of blood, Ethiopian army will defend Western Corridor. And secondly, he said, 9 times Tigray forces have tried to penetrate Western Corridor, but they could not. And 8 times, he said 8 times Tigray forces have made attempts to take Western Corridor. 9th attempt is underway. And thirdly, he says anti-Ethiopia forces are also supporting Tigray forces. He is referring to perhaps Sudan or Egypt. He's not mentioning any country. He just said anti-Ethiopia forces are supporting Tigray. So, Ethiopian National Defense Force, Amhara Regional Forces, they are defending Western Tigray. Tigray forces have not been able to reach Humra, Addis Ababa, or Sudan border. They did make some inroads into Volkait, but so far they have not been able to make considerable progress towards the border, Ethiopia-Sudan border. But Berhanu Jula's statement is very much clear, views, that Ethiopian army, Amhara regional forces, they will not surrender, they will not withdraw. For them, Western Corridor is non-negotiable in terms of military operation. Lastly, viewers, a video message has been shared by Pan-African Lawyers Union. The message has been released in connection with African Union's summit due to start tomorrow. Pan-African lawyers expect action from African Union about Tigray conflict. Watch this video clip shared by Human Rights Watch as well. Human Rights Watch shared this clip to the lawyers are calling for justice. They are calling an action against perpetrators who committed atrocities in Tigray in Ethiopia. Watch this video clip, viewers. Thank you for watching.
We have a message for the African Union. The people of Africa are watching you. The international community are watching you. Over the last 20 years, you've evolved very strong legal instruments for democracy, elections, governance, peace and security, human and people's rights.
I was born in internal displacement in the Nigerian Civil War, in which millions were killed. But it's not that the millions were killed, it's actually that I was born into starvation. And so Tigray is somewhat personal.
I've not seen on the continent a lot of call for, the protection of civilian, for the protection of victims, and particularly for the protection of women and children in the region.
The most frustrating thing is just how under-prioritized and ignored the crisis in Tigray and Ethiopia is within Africa and definitely around the globe.
Just watching young, helpless, vulnerable African kids like me, those many years ago, being starved by their own people, and with the capacity to change it from African leaders who are sitting idle and not doing enough anything at all about it. That for me is the issue. I don't know how they sleep at night.
We cannot say it was very far from the AU. It was in the country where the AU was operating. The AU cannot say we didn't know what is happening.
And if we cannot even speak about anything else, we must speak very, very boldly about the use of rape as a tool of war.
Part of what these states should be doing is call for very principled engagement with Ethiopia that puts the Ethiopian people first, that puts their lives, their dignity, their rights, their aspirations first, and comes out with some sort of national dialogue that will help resolve the issues that the country is facing.